So we're going to have a look at how to make fairly simple rosebuds. These are fab for individual cupcakes, or you can make a few together into a larger posy and sit that on top of a wedding cake. So it's up to you really. Just bear in mind that if you do make something such as a posy for a wedding cake, you're probably going to want to hang on to it as a keepsake, in which case, rather than the sugar paste that we're using today, you want to be looking at using a flour paste which sets really hard. Flour paste is great for making and crafting flowers and things like that out of, but it's not so much fun when you come to bite into it because it does dry rock hard. So today, because we're making these to go on cupcakes that are going to be eaten, we're going to keep them nice and soft by using sugar paste. So, starting off with our sugar paste, I've coloured it baby pink. You want to start with a piece roughly that big, unless you've got humongous hands. My hands are average size, if that helps you out. So about this size, and then we're going to just split it off into half, and then half again, just to give us 4 pieces approximately of similar size. And then 3 of those pieces we're going to roll into balls. They're going to make our petals, whilst the 4th piece is going to go into a sausage shape, and that's going to form our central bud. So dust your surface. I'm using icing sugar, but you can use corn flour or a white fat like Trex, for example. When you're using darker colours, something like this for example, it doesn't much like the white dusty effect that it gets if you use corn flour or icing sugar. That's where the fat is really quite handy to use, because you don't get this white dusty effect on it. It doesn't matter so much though with the baby pink because you can't see it. So taking our 3 balls and our sausage, we're just going to flatten them down a little bit, not too much, and then we want to keep them roughly about that thickness. And then with each of the 4 pieces, we're just going to flatten down on the one side, so just the one side. You can either use your finger or your thumb if that's a bit easier. If your fingers start to get sticky, just powder them off a little bit. Okay. So these balls that are going to form our petals, they should be looking something like this now. So a nice thin crisp edge on one side, and then round the other side we've still got this nice fat base. And that should be the same as well for your sausage piece. So starting with the sausage, we're just going to tuck the one edge in on itself and gently roll it round to give us our central bud. Okay, don't pinch it too much at the bottom yet. We want to keep it fairly workable, and if you pinch it too much it starts to flop everywhere. So that's what we've got to start with. Then taking one of our other petals, we're just going to rest our bud against our petal just a little way lower, so that the top of the bud is lower than the top of the petal. And we're just going to gently push those together on the one side, leaving this edge open for now. And the reason we're doing that is that when our second petal comes in much the same way, the second petal is going to tuck inside that first petal, and then just gently bring it round again. If you need to taper it off a little bit more like I am, that's fine. And then our third petal slides in just inside the second. And as that's our final petal, we can bring that right the way around and close it off. And then just with a little gentle pressure, we're just going to encourage all of them to stick together without squishing them out of shape. So you've ended up with something like this. Once that's at that stage, we can start to think about pulling back these petals and giving them a little pinch to create these cabbage roll effects that mimic the natural bloom of a rose. And then you can do that also with the inside. And there you end up. You can just reshape it a little bit if you need to. Just pulling those leaves up a little. And then all of the excess at the bottom we can just snip away. And then you have all of this to use for another flower. And there's your little rosebud.